Welcome, welcome. Dr. Stephen Hobbs here from the Wealth Movement, sharing a tip with you around co-creating the well-living workplace. And today, I'd like to share a connection with this co-creative conversation that goes along with the co-creation. It's important that you understand the conversation that you're having. So to understand the difference between debate, discussion, dialogue. When you understand this, then you can start to frame up a conversation that encourages, that gets people involved, that helps people to evolve in their participation. And to be able to set this up, one of the things that I've learned is this other phrase that I'll give with you today. I've been sharing some phrases through some of the other videos, but this one is connected to a couple of other aspects about the co-creating the well-living workplace. So let me give you the three words: truth, trust, and transparency. Whenever I do any group work, facilitate any group work, one of the things I always start off with is understanding about truth, trust, and transparency. The truth comes from the actual involvement, the implementation, the delivery, because it has to come from a place of truth. And therefore, what it is that you share into the meeting, into the facilitated session, into the workshop, has to come from a place of truth as you understand it. When you do that, then we're able to build this notion of trust, a shared ethic together, trustworthiness. And when you have this trust, then you have a sense of there's some contractual arrangement is I show up, you show up. We have the competence. In other words, I have an understanding about the topic, you have an understanding about the topic, and that we can actually share that moving forward. And the transparency is about being able to be open to where you might go. There might be some modifications that are necessary. To be in a place where eurekas and ooh moments are available to you, so that you don't get caught with thinking from an old paradigm, is that you're open for other ways of looking at it. But it's also links back to, is with that transparency comes the truth, that comes the trust, that comes the transparency. So they chase each other. Now there's another interesting aspect of truth, trust, and transparency. And that's when you move from truth through trust to transparency. In this trust area, there's something called the credibility pause. So in your conversations, in your co-creation, be alert to, if I'm asking someone to share the truth and I'm to share my truth and we're to get into this trust, then there's a bit of a pause that takes place to just check that I can trust that truth. That's the credibility pause. And the credibility comes from being who you are, to share your voice, to be, to have some authority and be authentic in what it is that you're sharing, to have some mastery over the subject and to be able to position what you have to share that makes sense for the time and place. Now, the other interesting thing about this is that when you get to understand about this truth, trust, and transparency, and you get to understand it in this way, then you start to connect with something that's happening in the social media world. This is kind of an interesting take. From a truth point of view, we talk about it as know and like. Oh, I know this person, I like what they're saying, and I think I can trust them, so I'll listen in. So the truth and trust is really about know, like, and trust. Now, the interesting thing in the social media world is that we have buttons for comment and share. That's the transparency piece. So truth, trust, and transparency is really about know, like, trust, comment, share. I've always thought that that's kind of an interesting way of combining this notion of social media and what's happening in the workplace. Now, one last thing that I would share, and this was given to me by a Dr. Shawn Duperron, and she said the following: know the rules, trust the rules, break the rules. So how does that link to truth, trust, and transparency? Well, think about it. If you know the rules, you know and like the rules, therein is your truth. The trust aspect is to trust the rules, to see that they're credible. They're there for a reason. But as you move forward and you gain more experience, you might find it's necessary to break the rules. That's part of this transparency aspect, to be able to comment and share and find ways to improve, focus, and strengthen what's happening in the workplace. So off that phrase of truth, trust, and transparency, there's know, like, trust, comment, share. There's know the rules, trust the rules, break the rules. So there's a lot that gets woven into these three words as it pertains to this co-creative conversations you're having in co-creating the well-living workplace. So with that, take care.